let's change direction. I'm still talking about fear. I want to look at a little more detail, in a little bit more detail about the chronic stress response. When I started this talk, I said that it's a physiological process. It's a response to danger. It's a response to a threat. It's a response to something that could be harmful. And our bodies developed a fight or flight response. But in actual fact, this response actually has more than two outcomes. We have flight, we have fight, but we also have freeze, and now we have fawn. So what do they mean? The fight is fairly self-explanatory. We're going to face the perceived danger. We're going to take it on. We're going to be aggressive about it. And the reason I'm mentioning them is because you can also go and reflect on how do you react in certain situations, because that will give you clues as to where are your triggers, number one, and where, and because you can identify your triggers, you can look at, okay, what are my fears? What is it that's pressing my button? And then you can go back and you can open yourself up in your own private space and be vulnerable and really investigate what is it that triggers this response. I'll be honest with you, like anger is one of my go-tos. So I'm one of the fighters, although I do also sometimes flee. But for a very long time, my go-to reaction was anger. That had a hugely negative impact on many of my relationships. And until I took the time and I had the courage to go and look at how did I learn that anger served me, until I took the time to do that, I was not able to move forward and able to take control of the anger that was ruling my life. And I still don't always control anger, but what that does is it empowers me to be able to reduce my stress, because now I always have a choice, but now I have more of a choice. I'm not reacting. I'm choosing a response, or I'm choosing to not become angry. Flight is also a fairly easy explanation. It is our urge to run from danger. And I mentioned earlier that I can sometimes also flee. And if I get into a situation or an argument or some sort of conflict where I don't know how to express myself, one of the things that I do is I turn around and I leave the room. So in essence, I'm fleeing from the danger that I'm not going to be heard, or that someone's going to overpower me, or something like that. So I find the freeze response quite interesting. How many times in nature do you see if there is danger? I mean, I see it with my cats. So my cat loves to hunt, and particularly the rats and the mice I live on a small holding. And when she approaches them and they see her, they freeze. So they don't turn to fight, and they don't run away. They freeze. And there is a mechanism there. I've been there, where if I freeze and I hold my breath, in that short space of time, it allows me to make a decision to remove myself from the danger. Okay, but in many instances, it's an inability to act or to move against the threat or away from the threat. When we are faced with danger, there is this fourth option, which is to fawn. And that means to be overly conciliatory and nice in an attempt to avoid the conflict. In other words, we want to, especially if there's an explosive aspect to the person with whom we're interacting, we want to make sure that we don't raise that possibility or probability of anger, for example. And one of the things that I really thought about when I came across this was, what are dogs' calming signals? If you think about dogs that lick and they play bow and they roll over, are they not actually fawning? because in a sense, they're going, I'm not dangerous. Please don't fight with me. I'm very cute. I'm very sweet. Those are my thoughts about fight, flight, freeze, or fawn in terms of this physiological response. Any one of them is going to create stress because we are still in a situation where we perceive there to be danger or harm or something that is unpleasant.